I had quite a big breakthrough a couple of days ago, and gosh, if you've ever experienced a breakthrough that is so personal to you, something that you've been searching for and haven't quite been able to access, when it comes, it's truly miraculous. It's so uplifting. So welcome to my wonderfully weird world of well-being. I have many abstract thoughts and develop theories and concepts, and I'm going to talk about how I got to this breakthrough, and it's mine. The way that I got here won't be the way that you get to yours, but there may be something in my process that may be of use to you. So if you don't know me, my name's Elizabeth Rees. I'm a transformational coach with a master's in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. I am very interested in the human journey from suffering to flourishing, and how we can access well-being processes and integrate them intuitively into our days, so that we are doing more of what feels good to counter what doesn't feel quite so good, and build up our bank of resilience and emotional capital throughout the day, so that we can rest easy at nights and then do it all again the next day. So this breakthrough, I've been searching my memory banks, and I'm going to be 50 quite soon, so you'd be surprised actually how far my memory does go back. My earliest memory is probably about 18 months, but I've been trying to access what was the first thing I wanted to be when I grew up. And the reason that this is important to me is because I am working on a theory that we forget who we are as we grow up, and the world gets really noisy and we become more and more fearful and more conditioned. But as we start to remember, we become more of who we already are. So this idea of lost and found, of remembering because we've forgotten, again, it feeds into lots of things to do with when we lose something, do we ever really lose it? We just can't access the memory of where it is or where we left it. The great thing about this is when it comes to ourselves, we just need the right combination. We need the right password with the right characters to be able to access it. So I didn't know I was going to spend a whole day trying to access this information. I just wanted to feel better in my day, because as per my previous podcast, I wake up feeling rather anxious in the morning, although I usually have an amazing night's sleep. So I started my day, as I usually do, with a little bit of a meditation, a coffee, and a walk with Johnny, my rescue dog. But Johnny, again, if you've been following me, you'll know Johnny has her own ideas about how she and I are going to navigate our days, and particularly our walks. And she just wouldn't go in the direction that I wanted to go. And the person I'm living with calls it permissive parenting. But I just don't want to force her, because she's like a pure energy that just does what she wants to do. So it's no skin off my nose to allow her to go in the direction that she wants to go. It really doesn't, it's not that big a deal to me. But she took us in a direction that we've never been before. And something really weird happened. I'd looked at a post on TikTok. Yes, I do indulge in a bit of TikTok every now and again, that was talking about a playground that had been discovered under the sea. And it showed these underwater images of the playground. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's probably fake news, but, it was interesting nonetheless. I like the idea that There's so much in this world that we don't understand and we don't know about. Maybe unicorns do exist. You know, maybe one day I'll see a dragon. Yeah, call me crazy, but I did say welcome to my weirdly wonderful world of well-being right at the very beginning, and say that I liked abstract concepts. So we're wandering down this lovely, lovely road in the southwest of France, a route that we've never been, and suddenly I see behind a whole load of trees, kind of buried deep into a forest glade, this playground. And it immediately jumps into the forefront of my mind that I have just seen that exact same playground, more or less, under the sea on a post on TikTok. Now, science calls this cognitive bias. So if we notice a butterfly, or we see a white feather and we choose to give it meaning as good luck, suddenly we then see a butterfly or we see white feathers everywhere. This is generally described, you know, you see a red car, suddenly you see the red cars everywhere. So I was surprised, but not so surprised that I didn't understand that my brain was accessing cognitive bias. But it was still a bizarre coincidence to have happened so quickly. So it wasn't synchronized, but it was coincidental. And I didn't want to go into this glade because it looked a little creepy. But Johnny she was just not having any of it. So in we came, and this glade is, because I'm sitting in it right now, full of what I've now come to call tree portals. And these trees are only unusual in as much as there are so many of them that are forked at the root. So they grow out and then they grow up in two parts, which means that you can climb through the fork just by stepping over them. Now, something in me said, do you want to step through this or these or any of these tree portals? But what have I got to lose? You know, I'm at some turning points in my life and I can't really make any clear decisions towards a plan because things are very, very uncertain. So it wasn't going to do me any harm at all to step through a tree portal. But I did leave my phone on one side before I stepped through, just in case I disappeared into another dimension. Needless to say, I didn't immediately disappear into another dimension. But I did enjoy myself. It was, you know, a playful hour or so walking around this glade and going through as many of the tree portals as I could find to try and change my current reality to something that was perhaps more accomplished and more abundant. Then I went back, and there's been some challenges around money and income. We were all experiencing them. Times are tough, and I definitely do believe in the flow of abundance. I arigato my money, so every time I have to pay a bill or I pay for something, I express gratitude for the fact that it's going out to ensure that that same flow of money keeps swirling around me. But it currently seems to be blocked. So I decided to sit down and do a step 4 from a 12-step program, which you will know from my previous podcast I have done, both myself with a sponsor and many, many times over with sponsees. So effectively, I looked at money as a resentment. So money is the cause of all my problems. If you had money like mine, you'd drink too, or you'd be, frozen in fear, or you'd be pissed off, or however you feel about your current money situation. And so then I wrote a list of reasons why I had this resentment against money. I'll cut a long story short, but I followed the step 4 columns process so that I could process where I've been using inaccurate stories and wrong thinking about my relationship with money. Anyway, obviously going through a process like that is quite intense, because I was looking at my parents' relationships with money, where we lost money, where I lost money, where bad decisions had caused financial hardship, how other people behave around their money, how I behaved when I had money, how I behaved when I didn't have money, which is quite an emotional roller coaster. So eventually I decided to stop, to take a break and watch a movie. Prime is not overflowing with good, humorous escapism films. It's like full of end of the world kind of stuff. Have you guys noticed that? It's not optimistic viewing. Anyway, I found a movie, oh God, I can't think what it's called now, but it's got Orlando Bloom in it. Deep Cover. It's called Deep Cover, and it's got a British comedian in it as well. Anyway, it's very funny. It's where these improv guys end up pretending to be undercover cops, and there's a scene where Orlando, who is a sort of failed actor, is not getting parts because he's very egotistical. He's a serious drama actor, and so he brings that into his auditions, and they're like, well, can you just say the line, you really like the beans kind of thing. And he comes out into the street and has a phone call with his agent, and he says the words, I wasn't really paying attention, and then I suddenly hear the words, I am an actor, I can do anything. And I stopped. I pressed pause and I stopped, and this rush of knowledge and understanding and certainty sort of whooshed through me, and I realised that was it. I am an actor. That was the thing that I'd always wanted to be when I was small, when I was young. That was the thing I wanted to be, and it wasn't because I wanted to be famous. I just thought it looked like so much fun. But of course, if you go around saying you want to be an actor, you want to be a star, that's what people assume, that it comes from a place of ego, of wanting to be famous, and it wasn't that. It just looked like loads of fun. And over time, that dream became an association with, if I'm the star, nobody will like me. If I'm a successful actor, I will have to deal with adversity. It's better to toe the line, to fit in. And I just had completely forgotten, or buried, or changed direction, or adjusted my course to be all the other things that meant that I didn't have to feel like people didn't like me or support me because they perceived me to be a certain way, which was completely against the person that I am. And I think this happens a lot in our lives. We get distracted from who we are, what we want to be, because we don't like what other people reflect back to us. Anyway, it was a magical moment, because I realised that I wouldn't have become any of the things that I've become if I wasn't an actor, to a degree. So I started to take that realisation into the context of my current life and say, this is an era. I'm in the era of nomadic solitude. I've been playing this part, and I've played it really well. But what part do I want to play next? And this is not about being inauthentic. It's not about acting for people. It's about acting for ourselves. Acting for me to change my reality. And there's a bit in the big book that talks about how when we're in active addiction, we are the actors, the directors, and we are all players, and we want everybody to behave how we want them to behave. And the realization that I am an actor in my own life is not about wanting other people to behave the way that I want them to. It's about me needing to behave in a way that I need to behave to fulfill the role that I'm playing. Now, I could go on longer at this point about this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave you with the fact that whatever your process is, to remember who you are. You know the way to unlock it, and enjoy it. And enjoy it when the breakthrough comes, because it's an incredible feeling to know that you have an answer to a question that has been keeping you stuck. I now have my answer, so I really hope you guys find a way to yours. All right, lots of love. Bye.